Alright. Hi, and welcome to the A&J Podcast. I'm A. This is J. Let's get this thing started. Alright. So, our topic today would be sustainability. Is.
Give us the fortune teller.
Oh, yes, throw the bag. Here we have some origami created throughout the year.
This year's are mine. No, just wait, this one here.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Alright, ready?
No, come on. Come on, Vanilla, what the hell?
Hey, this is our video.
Okay. So here.
But it's my episode. Have you seen that from Just Judy?
Yeah. Okay.
Come on.
Wait, I want to do it.
I don't know. Here we have a fortune teller. Stop!
I'm gonna do it and you're gonna explain
I'm calling the wires.
Jake.
Okay. So
Okay.
this fortune teller has authors. Open it. With page numbers. Oh, I made this one. With page numbers, and then under said page numbers are a quote. You're making a lot of noise down there.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Wait until we're done.
Just give him a minute.
So this fortune teller has authors written on it, and
I don't know if
as many of you know, when you choose a color or an author for our particular one,
If you've ever been in elementary school, you know how these work.
yeah. So you have an author and then Thoreau.
Oh.
And then you pick a page. No, stop.
I spelled it wrong.
Okay. And then you do a page number. And then there are the numbers and page numbers.
Ow!
So,
My arm does not twist that way.
Sorry. Okay, so 7. 6. 3.
It's page 51 of Carson's thing. Since DDT was released for civilian use, a process of escalation? What? Escalation has been going on in whichever more toxic material must be found. You wrote that quote. Let's explain it.
All right. Well, so Carson's whole essay thing was talking about the what's this called? I can't remember what it was called. It was the
Pesticide?
pesticides. Yes, that word. So it was talking about the pesticides and how they're bad and all that. And that quote was just explaining how like the use of DDT as a specific pesticide has caused a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. So, before we continue with this, you know what sustainability is, but some people do not. Sustainability is the ability of something or someone to sustain themselves. And we read all of these 8 articles that kind of related to sustainability. Great?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So, first we read something from Henry Thoreau, and what he wrote was where I lived and what?
David Henry, wasn't it? It was Henry David, okay. I'm wrong.
Yes, you're wrong. All right, so what he wrote was where I lived and what I lived for. And one of the quotes that I found very interesting was every morning was a cheerful invitation and make my life of equal simplicity. So what do you think this means?
I know what it means. You gotta explain it.
Well, what was your first thoughts?
That's a long time ago. Read it again.
All right, every morning was a cheerful invitation to make my life of equal simplicity.
Oh, well, because he lived out in the woods. Because that was his version of simplicity. He wanted to live very simply out in the woods. So what he did was he built some little cabin out there. I think a cabin. And then he woke up every morning to a simple nature, and he wanted to make his life as simple. You know, just sit there and photosynthesize.
Photosynthesize. I like how you put that. That was a very, very good way of. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so, so when he moved into the middle of the woods, he did bring anything that was not necessary that he needed. Like he brought food with him, obviously, or maybe he hunted. Maybe he brought some materials for hunting. But he didn't bring anything that required his life to be even the smallest bit difficult. it was just him in the woods without any distractions or anything. So that's like,
Birds are distracting.
like a Alright. So he lived his life pretty effortlessly. When I was like, and the quote, every morning was a cheerful invitation for that. He was like kind of saying every morning was just like him thinking, okay, I'm not trying to make my life even more simple than how it used to be and stuff. So just like a thing of him being like, I'm gonna do this. Yep. Alright, so in The American Forests by John Muir, one thing that I thought was not interesting, I mean it was interesting, but it kind of like made me think a little bit, was how he said that poised destroyers waged interminable forest wars. So when you think of poised destroyers, not the human race, but what would you think of besides humans? Or what would you think?
Poised mean?
I think it's, I don't know, it's a bit of, poise means devoutly religious, making a hypocritical display of virtue or of a hope sincere but unlikely to be fulfilled. So I think the one that makes mostly sense is devoids, or devoutly religious.
So poised destroyers, basically,
Like-
they're set on destroying.
Yes. So,
Like sea urchins come forest.
yeah. For like that thing, so what do you think of when you hear the word poise destroyer? And I don't know what poise means.
What she said.
Oh, right, yeah. Sorry. So not only does John Muir think that, I interpreted it as like the human race. I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious that he's
Because
talking.
he was talking about how they chopped down all the trees.
Yeah. So he was talking
There's
about
no
how.
zebras running around chopping down trees, so I think it's just humans.
Yeah, definitely. But so the whole thing of that essay was how the human race is cutting down all the trees, as you said, and how he thinks that they should stop. As I said before, he should stop because trees are good.
That's what we're dealing with right now, by the way.
All right.
Stop playing the thing.
Look, it's a bunny.
Why did your voice get so high?
It's a bunny.
God,
I'm
that's
playing with the wires, so.
She wasn't playing with them, he was sitting on them. You stay right there, bunny.
Oh
No, I'm white now.
ready? Are you ready?
No!
All right.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Well, these poised destroyers would continuously cut down the trees, destroy the forests, and we can't do that because trees are good. So, John Muir also describes the human race as bread and money seekers, because that's in his mind, or actually that's what we are. We're bread and money seekers. All we want is to
Food and money.
food and money. That's all people look for.
You know it.
All right. So in the Obligation to Endure in the book Silent Spring by Rachel Carson.
You learned English.
I learned English. Okay.
We all did.
Kind of. All right. So in the Obligation to Endure in the book Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, she states man can hardly even recognize the devils of his own creation.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, she is obviously talking about the pesticides that man has created to make sure that bugs don't go on other food and contaminate everything, but the pesticides are actually what harms the food sometimes. So, in saying that man can hardly even recognize the devils of his own creation, it's saying, oh, pesticides are good, but not acknowledging that they're doing harmful things as well. Well, then there was the other quote that we talked about the DDT and stuff, but like we already talked about that. All right. DDT is bad. She actually started.
She got it banned.
Yeah, she with her book Silent Spring, she eventually got DDT banned, or it's kind of sparked it too, kind of.
No, she got it banned.
Well, then she
was like, "This is bad.
This
Get
is
rid of
bad.
it."
Get rid of it. Yep. So in Framing Sustainability by David Orr, he talks about how Abraham Lincoln was such a great leader and how he did all these things to bring a nation together to start something. And one of the quotes that I found very powerful is, "In our time, many things that ought to be and must be sustained are in jeopardy. the most important of which are those qualities Lincoln used in defining the specific issue of slavery: clarity, courage, generosity, kindness, wisdom, and humor. What do you think about that quote?
Well, in this quote, he's talking about the way that Lincoln, the 4 ways, where was it, morals or something?
Yeah, those are
That Lincoln used to fight slavery and get abolished.
Yeah.
And then Orr is now saying, hey, we need to use these same morals to go and figure out the problem of sustainability. Here's how we can do it. And he wrote his little thing.
Yep. So he thought that maybe if we brought these morals back into play, then we can make such a big change like how Abraham Lincoln did with slavery, right? So there's that.
That's the it?
No, that's not the it yet. So sustainability, building a consensus between liberals. I can't speak. Okay. Sustainability, building a consensus between liberals and conservatives by Alex Zorak. One of the quotes that I found very interesting was that there are many ways in which conservative ideals and approaches can be used to preserve, protect, and restore the Earth's ecosystems. So I was thinking of a couple of like the ideals that we could use, or like ideas that we can use to like put towards like making a change. So like they're all, everywhere you look, you could probably find something about saving the earth, saving the wildlife. There's a whole bunch of commercials already for it. So there are a whole lot of ways that we can spark a change, right?
Are you on the right one?
I think this one.
Oh, what the quote was saying was that liberals and conservatives need to figure out a way how to get together and fix a problem together, make a change. Because they both got good points, both got bad points.
Put them together to
Gotta
make
put
one
them
great
together.
point. All right,
Fantastic.
fantastic point. All right, so now playing the Sustainability Con by Ron Ross. So
Ross?
What?
Bob Ross?
Not Bob Ross. A quote that I really like from this is, obviously the EPA sees sustainability as a golden opportunity on its quest for more power, control, and funding. The EPA's new lease on life is going to diminish everyone else's lives. So I really liked this quote because
What
he's
the
saying,
EPA was?
I did, but now I don't. Do you remember?
No, we should go figure that out.
Yeah. So
EPA could stand for Every Petition Associate. Epic
Alright.
Party Animals. Ooh.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Epic party animals. All right, so the Environmental Protection Agency. So, the Environmental Protection Agency, Ron Ross thinks that every time... What are you laughing at? You thinking of Bob Ross? She's thinking
I'm
of...
gonna think of that as I'm saying Ron Ross now.
Okay, so Ross thought... Joss... Alright.
See, I'm thinking of this because in art class, I saw a little, my teacher, she had like, I don't know if it was hers, but it appeared, but it was a little bobblehead of Bob Ross just sitting there. And it's like, ah, Bob Ross.
Alright, so he says that, so he thinks that the EPA uses that sustainability, like the idea of it, as a way to just get more money towards it, to build up their kind of empire in a way, and like make it so that only they, like, that
want money.
Yeah, so they use
They
it
say
as,
global warming, save, I almost said save the pandas. save the polar bears.
yeah, so they
Lose
use
money.
They only use it when they need like funds and stuff. So the way that that's how he thinks of that. And then he also says sustainability is actually an old concept that has once again been warmed over for the umpteenth time, the latest incarnation of Malthusianism.
Because for 30 plus years, oh my gosh, the world has been warming up and we're all gonna die.
Yeah. So he's basically saying that sustainability has become like this idea that only grants people money when they need it.
Yeah, it's like when you say, hey, I don't know.
All right. So lastly, the last. All right. So the last.
Great grammar.
Thanks. The last article that we read was the Sacred Balance.
one. It was the worst.
I hated this one. So the Sacred Balance: Rediscovering Our Place in Nature by David Suzuki. So the quote that I really liked from this one was, for the first time in the 3.8 billion years that life has existed on Earth, one species, humanity, is altering the biological, physical, and chemical features of the planet on a geological scale.
Genetics. Personal genetics altering DNA.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do, but okay. So Suzuki basically was saying that 3.8 billion years on the planet. 3.8 billion years life was on Earth. And then humanity came along and starts destroying everything. We're changing the biological, physical, and chemical features, as he said. And it's just not a good thing. So, yeah. All right.
And then airplanes and towers and cars, and they're like pollution.
All right.
Pollution.
Okay.
Well, we flew past each other.
New. Okay. All right. So, lastly, the last quote. All right, we're gonna go new to the next quote. All right. So, taken together.
It's like a kindergarten teacher. Now we're gonna go new to the next quote. So you get the kids' attention. New.
Alright, so finally, taken together, human numbers, technology, consumption, and globalized economy can make us a new kind of force on the planet.
Of course. Objects in motion will not do something
Objects in
unless,
motion stay in motion.
unless acted upon by another force.
Yep. So,
Humanity.
that's actually really good. I like that. Okay, so
You're welcome.
thank you. So we've created this kind of new force, as he said, that kind of destroyed everything.
We're
in
going
its path. Yes, we're going new, and
It needs something to stop.
Yeah, we need to stop. So we need something of equal force to stop us. Like maybe the whole world going to.
It's a bad word, man.
That's a bad word. So we as a human race need to have something to stop us from making all this pollution, from destroying the earth. So that maybe we need that
Save
equal
the
ounce of
pandas.
force. Yes, save the pandas. All right, so
That
that
live in the Arctic. I was gonna say pandas and I said polar bears, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's that one. That's
And speaking of saving animals, guys, we got the bunny with us.
All right, so now that we've gone over those, we have to talk about like our ideas and stuff. So, for conservation and stuff, we can say that the way that we're living in society right now, it's not sustainable. We're starting to run out of some resources.
Natural resource.
Yeah, we're starting to run out of some natural resources and have to resort to other things to sustain us. And
Hey, bunny.
and our way of not in our way. The way that we do this is we're destroying the earth as well. We're not just destroying our resources, we're destroying everything around us. So when you start up your car and instead of taking the bus or the train or
Idling.
carpooling,
If you idle.
yes, if you idle. So when you idle and your car is running, you're making a lot of pollution. You're making
Unneeded pollution.
Yeah, unneeded pollution. And when you cut down a tree because you want to make a new house, or you want to make more paper, or anything like that that involves you destroying forests, when you do these things to the forests and to the planet, you destroy creatures' homes, like his home or
The
his food
bunny.
supply. Do you want to hurt this innocent little bunny rabbit? I don't think anyone would. So in order for us to save our planet and save our animals' habitats and food supply, we have to make our lifestyles more sustainable, like carpooling, or turning off your lights when you're not home, or unplugging things when you're not using them. I think that is the it. I believe that's the it.
That's the it.
That's the it.
That's the it for Amanda.
That is the it. Woo. Okay, so that concludes this episode of Sustainability. I'm A. This is J. This is A&J Podcast. Bye.
Ow.
Say bye.
Bye. Jeez.